Good evening. My name is Marlene Sincaglia, and I'm president of the League of Women Voters of Berkeley Heights, New Providence, and Summit. I'm pleased to welcome you tonight to the Republican primary debate for mayor of Berkeley Heights. I would like to thank our co-hosts, the Berkeley Heights Communications Committee, for their participation and support. I would also like to thank Mr. Voorhees, Mr. Stiefel, and the TV production crew of GL TV 34. Conducting debates like this one is one of the ways we encourage informed and active participation in government. Your participation today helps us carry out our mission. Thank you to the candidates, to the journalists, and to the audience for coming. Please make sure that your cell phones, any cameras or recording devices are turned off at this time. And I would like to present Mr. Nick Chiavo of the Berkeley Heights Communications Committee, who will introduce the first part of this evening's program.
Thank you, Marlene. It's a pleasure for the Berkeley Heights Communications Committee to work with the League of Women Voters in sponsoring tonight's debate. It's a perfect example of two organizations working together for the benefit of the township residents. I'll be moderating the first session with Barbara Reibold of the Independent Press and Bobby Pierre of the Alternative Press, who will ask candidate questions that pertain to the future of Berkeley Heights. Each candidate will have 3 minutes to respond to the media's questions. Also, depending upon whom answered last, the other candidate, if he chooses, will be allowed a 30-second rebuttal. For the second question, we will reverse the order and so forth for the remaining questions. For your information, a planning meeting was held with all participants in which the topics for session 1, but not the questions, were discussed. Since Bob Woodruff won the coin toss, I will turn it over to him for the opening remark.
Thank you, Nick. Good evening. And I want to extend a thank you to the League of Women Voters, Nick Chiavo, the Township Communication Committee, and our panelists, Ms. Pierre and Ms. Reibold, for hosting tonight's debate. Several months ago, I was asked by residents, volunteers, business leaders, my fellow council members, and the Republican Municipal Committee to run for mayor. They shared with me their concerns about our town and its future, and how they believed I had the skills and abilities that could help us move forward. I was honored. I've been proud to serve our town in several capacities, and I know firsthand the challenges facing us, and most of all, that we must work together to meet these challenges and build a future. These are exciting times with many ideas and initiatives. They must be carefully examined as to benefits and costs, timeline and impact. The role of the mayor is to lead. Such requires the ability to initiate, negotiate, manage, facilitate, communicate, and collaborate, while serving as the conduit between our council and business community, our citizens, employees, and county and state representatives. The mayor must be an advocate for a clear and distinct vision for the community. This is a process which requires deliberation and discipline, and the ability to work with all involved. A township becomes a community because of its people. We are proud of our citizens' involvement and look to encourage greater participation. Our nonprofit organizations and volunteers provide outstanding services. Our beautification committee, under the leadership of Gene Kingsley, has begun to reshape our downtown. There is more work to do. And towards that end, we propose the creation of a task force on community growth and development, comprised of groups and individuals regardless of political affiliation, whose mission will be to identify ways we can partner to improve our downtown and recreation areas, fields, roads, municipal facilities, streetscapes, lighting, signage, traffic, and pedestrian patterns. Financially demanding times require us to not just be prudent, but to be innovative, creative, and open towards seeking new sources of revenue. We cannot move forward on the backs of the taxpayers alone. Such requires a mayor to be diligent in identifying and aggressively pursuing monies available on a county and state level, and conducting the proper oversight and requiring the appropriate accountability from those involved in this process. Mayor should not be telling the taxpayers what services they can or cannot have. It is the job of the mayor to listen and work with the council, county, and state to collaborate with public and private entities to help secure the funding necessary to continue to provide desired services. We envision a vibrant township which seeks to advance short-term goals while appreciating as citizens that we have a duty and an obligation to be strategic stewards of our future. We must make sure Berkeley Heights remains positioned for the many years to come to be a safe, efficient, and productive community which treats all of its citizens with dignity and respect. I am prepared and passionate to serve as your mayor. I look forward to your questions this evening, not only tonight, but as we move forward to the primary election on June 3rd, and I thank you for your support. Thank you.
Turn it over to Joe Bruno.
Okay, Nick, thank you. Good evening. I would like to thank the League of Women Voters for hosting this event, the staff here at Governor Livingston for their production, those in attendance tonight, and those of you who are taking the time to be informed and watching us on Comcast 34 and Fios 47. I am Joe Bruno. For the last 3.5 years, I have been the mayor here in Berkeley Heights, and I am seeking re-election for another 4 years. 4 years ago, we shared with you our vision for improving our township. We said we would hire the best people we could find in assisting us in running the township. We said we would run the township using business-like approach, using zero-based budgeting and paying for the things we need to have our township run smoothly. We would look and apply for every available grant we qualify for. Last year, we were awarded $753,000 in grants. We would work with the business community like the Chamber of Commerce, the Rotary, as well as commercial real estate professionals, and meet with prospective businesses to fill the vacancies and enhance our downtown. We said we would have our township meetings more professional and resident-friendly. We said it was okay to disagree, but never okay to be disrespectful. That our communication and response to residents' concerns would be prompt. After all, you are the stakeholders and the reason why we are here. Finally, we said we would be visible and available to the community on a daily basis and approachable to all. This was the vision I shared with you, and you put your trust in me 3.5 years ago by electing me mayor. Now, 3.5 years later, I'm happy to say that we have a track record of success as a township that was recognized by the CNN Money magazine last September when they named Berkeley Heights the 6th best place to live in America. This was accomplished in spite of some adversity. During the last 3.5 years, we've had to overcome 2 hurricanes, Irene and Sandy, the October snowstorm of 2012, and numerous other weather events, and a tornado, just to mention a few. Why am I seeking another term? I've been serving the people of Berkeley Heights for the past 17 years, 9 on the school board, the past 8 years as a committeeman, councilman, council vice president, and council president, and in the past 3.5 years as mayor. In each position, I have applied what I've learned in 38 years as a businessman. We have many opportunities ahead of us, including continued downtown development, the possible redevelopment of our municipal property, managing the municipal budget by working with our state county officials to get the most back we can in the form of grants while working to reduce the size of government in New Jersey, the potential land swap with Little Flower Church, continue to work with our seniors, schools, and associations like the Veterans of Foreign Wars and PAL to enhance our community, and more. I have put my heart and soul into doing this job and brought a passion for it in assisting our residents. If you remember nothing else tonight, please remember this. Being your mayor is my primary responsibility. I'm available 24/7 to work for you. When there's an opportunity comes, whether it's in here or in Trenton, I'm available to go there. I'm available to meet with state officials on stream cleanup or FEMA officials to obtain grants and reimbursements, all of which I have done. I make a point of being on site when there's a fire accident or incident in town. It's important to me to show our uniformed officers, firefighters, and rescue squad, our volunteers, that I support them and I know it's important to them to receive it. On June 3rd, you will decide the future of the next 4 years of our town. I hope our results will earn your support and vote, and I thank you.
Thank you, Joe Bruno. The first question pertains to the municipal redevelopment, and it will be asked by Barbara Reibold. And this first question is first addressed to Robert Woodruff.
Hi, thank you. You both used the word vision in your opening statements, and I'm going to ask you about your vision in regards to the land swap and the municipal redevelopment plan that people have talked about. I think both of you support it and would like to see the upper church and the library and all of this switched around. And but I don't want to know the mechanics of it. I want to know in 4 years or 5 years or so, when you come back, what do you think you're going to be seeing here? What's your vision for how that will affect the township and what it will do to change the operations. Thank you.
Thank you, Barbara. I see this as part of the obligation that we as citizens have to our long-term future, to our strategic goals. We have a facility downtown that is inefficient, unsafe, no doubt does not meet significant numbers of codes, has been cited by the prosecutor from a police department standpoint as being inappropriate and inadequate. You must understand this, that there are various components to this entire process. The first component that has to be understood is that project, that particular facility, it has to be fixed. Now, many people say, well, why can't we just build a new one? Well, in doing so, you've got to vacate your people. They need to govern. They need to be someplace. Then you have to assess the costs of building it, and so on and so forth. The other components to this, which are present now and probably only now, are as follows. That would be the prospective land swap between the town, the library, and Little Flower, which would be the current Little Flower campus. There would be a projected assessment of a brick and mortar swap. Someone would get paid in addition to the land swap. Our town would then obviously have to take that campus and develop that. Now, this is a one-time opportunity. Because of the possibility of swapping, that now takes our 9+ acres downtown, and it allows us to develop that, and allows us to take bids from various developers to develop that area, and possibly the same developer to do the work on the campus, which may impact total costs. But in the long term, we now have 9+ acres of taxable property. Now, currently, obviously there's no taxes there. There's no taxes on the library. There's no taxes on the Little Flower facility. So there are numerous components here. We're in the middle of doing our due diligence on each of those components. This is not an easy thing to put together. Kevin Hall, former council president and current member of the council, has been our lead on this, and I think we're doing this in the appropriate fashion. We have advised the public to some extent. We have to be careful because we're in contractual circumstances, and we're in decision-making with respect to costs and so on and so forth. This is the biggest thing that will occur, in my mind, to this town within our lifetime. And while short-term benefits and goals are appropriate, and we seek them, and this would be a short-term benefit also, we are placing our township in a position with a facility which I think we would all agree would be second to none, and we would then continue to allow ourselves to develop an existing land situation which will be taxable property ad infinitum. So it's a win-win. There's due diligence involved. There's a lot of work left to be done. Thank you.
Joe Bruno?
You know, I agree with what Bob just said. It is an opportunity that presents itself probably once in a lifetime to be able to do this. We are doing our due diligence. We have to see which is the best cost-effective way to go. Either continue with the land swap or develop the property, the municipal lot, and stay there. But what I envision, if you can close your eyes and see this with me, if we're at the upper level campus, we have everything we want in one location. We finally get a brand new library. That library that we have right now is antiquated and like town hall falling apart. We get a town hall that's functional. We have a meeting place for seniors in the auditorium church. Now again, this isn't a done deal. This is my vision. So if it doesn't come to fruition, I'm only one person. But we have a meeting place for the seniors to meet up there, for community groups to meet up there. We have an extraordinary parking lot that could easily have a farmer's market there. So the seniors will meet there on Tuesday and Wednesday, and a farmer's market on one of those days they can go to. We have a place that it will be a community hub. And, you know, I'm about town pride. You know, part of the job of the mayor is being the town cheerleader. And one of the reasons why we have a town clock is because I saw 2 in New Providence, and we need to have 3 in Berkeley Heights. But if you look at the town halls around us, okay, Long Hill, beautiful town hall. New Providence took over a school and made a beautiful town hall. And we're not the stepchildren of Springfield Avenue. You know, we deserve a quality establishment for ourselves. And somewhere along here, or along the way, we have to build it. Okay? Because the one we have right now is 70, 80 years old and antiquated. And it's not serving the public, and we're fragmented. We have the police in 2 different locations, in the main building and in a trailer in the back. DPW is off on the side. The rec department is in a house that's basically falling apart. So all of our facilities are old. We need to look at to do something, and this is the best time to do it because we have an option available. But as Bob said, we have to do our due diligence. We have to make sure that it's right. We have to make sure that whatever we do is the best cost-effective for the taxpayer, and that's what we're in the process of doing right now. And we're getting all of our professionals to weigh in. So the reason why we're taking time is because we are trying to turn every stone over that we can see. And then when we go public with this and make presentations, sometimes probably in July, if I'm right, Kevin, midsummer, then we will have the public weigh in and tell us. So we are a little bit away from a finalized deal, and we will share our vision and have the public share their reaction to it and come up with their own ideas. But understand, we have to do something. And that's the role of government and leaders, to make sure we do something. Because if we do things the same way, it'll happen. The results won't change. Thank you.
Robert Woodruff, if you're allowed, if you choose a 30-second rebuttal.
I think Joe's mentioned with respect, and he was indicating, making mention of what was going on in the town and so on and so forth, and he mentioned the clock. I would submit that while Joe no doubt had an idea and a concern about the clock, that is really the result of our Downtown Beautification Committee, which has really led the way in a significant way with respect to the vision that we're trying to get for the downtown area. So the vision concept of our structure, of our municipal structure, goes hand in hand with that's what we're trying to do in town. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. So we're on to question 2. It'll be asked by Bobby Pierre of the Alternative Press. And this topic pertains to working with Union County, and we first directed to Joseph Bruno.
Now that seceding from Union County will not happen, my question is 2 parts. How are we going to get Union County to work with us better? And what areas do you think need the most work?
It's a fair question. Secession was a reaction to the way we felt about how the county was spending our money. At no point did I make this a personal grudge between the county and I. And in fact, I have a very, very good rapport with our county manager and the county freeholders. I have not seen in the last year and a half since we started this any retribution towards Berkeley Heights at all. In fact, when I call the DPW director for a favor, or for salt or ice or help, we get it. In fact, they're doing more projects in Berkeley Heights than they're probably doing in neighboring towns. If you look at McMain and Diamond Hill Road, they're doing that. That's the county that's doing that project. So, part of that secession was to make sure that they knew this wasn't a personal thing. This wasn't a Republican versus Democrat thing. This was an ideological way of spending money. And when they announced the sale of Reynolds Hospitals, I was actually called and invited to come to the freeholder meeting to be there when they did that, and I got a very warm reception. So I don't think there's any retribution. We will continue to work with Union County because this is where we will be. We have to work with Union County, and we will apply for every grant, and we continue to get grant money from Union County for our seniors, for our rec department, and we will continue applying for everything, because if there was retribution, then they would really hear from it, because I am not afraid to go public if I thought there was any retribution, but I've had none. We've had a great rapport during this process. A little strained, obviously. They weren't happy about it, but this is the government, the form of government that the state legislature has in the state, and we have to live with it. And I'm sorry, Bob, what was the second question?
What areas do you think need the most work?
Oh, how about we all raise our hands? The roads. We need help in the roads. We need help in our roads very, very badly. We need help in controlling for them to control their budgetary process. They have announced the sale of Ronald Hospital. There's a lot more that we can do working together in helping them to know what our priorities are as far as where to spend money. There's got to be some consolidation in what they do, and we're establishing a report to do it.
Thank you, Joe.
Thank you.
Bob Woodruff?
Thank you, Nick. Ironically, just within the last few days, I met with a representative of the county and quite candidly addressed what I know many people are concerned with here in this town, and that is, what is the reaction to secession and how, in fact, will we be treated? I would indicate, when I proposed that secession be discussed, if you go back, and it is available still on our township website, I did not suggest at any time that any dialogue with the county should cease. So therefore, I thought it was important to sit with a representative of the county and find out exactly what we are missing, what we need to do to get closer and to take advantage of the over $14 million a year we send down to the county. I did find something a little disturbing, and that was recently post-Sandy, there was a grant available which would have provided for 8 individual workers at a maximum of $12,500. And I found out that, in fact, our stream circumstances, which we have been doing a reclamation and hopefully soon a maintenance on, would have fit with Sandy. Well, if you do the math, that's roughly about $100,000 that was available. And when we talk about how that impacted our other services, because we had to do this work, and as we all know out here, we did not do bulk pickup last year, and now we have a bulk pickup cost which is excessive. So you begin with a closer tie with the county, and that information was brought to our prior business administrator, and she did not do anything about it. She was repeatedly advised of it. Now, I don't suggest it was the mayor's job to chase down every grant that's out there, but it's certainly his job to call for accountability with respect to those who are supposed to be doing that. I think the second question with respect to what work needs to be done, the Reynolds circumstance was a good thing, but there is a larger question with respect to Reynolds, and that is, as we all know, they spend about $15 to $17 million a year of our tax money above the revenues that they make. So that's what they need to do to keep it going. They're going to sell it hopefully for $26 million. We'll see what happens, and we'll certainly applaud their effort. But the question I have is, that's $15 million a year. Now, if there's a mortgage remaining, that can be paid off the proceeds of the sale. That $15 million a year, I just have one question to the county. What are you going to do with it? Are you going to return it on a pro rata basis back to the taxpayers? Because that's been bleeding. We all know it's been bleeding. I applaud the county. I also understand there's a lot of problems and concerns with respect to the transfer of this property. There always are when you deal with medical facilities. I also applaud the county because they are coming here in June, and they're going to have an open night, which I think all of us should attend, hopefully, to get these answers. But obviously, we need to move forward in collaboration with the county and the state and all entities that we can do. I think, in fact, we are doing so with the county right now. Thank you.
Thank you, Bob. Joe, you're entitled to a rebuttal.
Well, you know, in regards to our former administrator, that she was released over a year ago. So if this grant was to be applied for, it's fairly old news of over a year old. Had I been aware that we had a grant money that somebody didn't apply for, I would have definitely took action. The county has given us, or they shouldn't say give us, it's our money, we just got it back, over $250,000 for road repair. So we're still getting a good share of money to do Park Avenue, and again, they are doing the fixing of Diamond Hill Road and McMain. So we're getting money from the county on a continual basis, and we will continue to pursue every avenue for that.
Okay, thank you. So the next question pertains to our downtown development. It will be asked by Bob Rybold, and it will be first directed to Bob Woodruff.
The Downtown Beautification Committee has been busy, but I want to know what each of you would like to do or plan to do, to keep the new businesses that we've already attracted in town. At least one of them isn't even coming to town anymore. New York Marts has withdrawn. And how are we going to get people to patronize them so that they actually stay in town? I saw Liberty Mutual has closed, or they're vacant. So how do we work the downtown, and how do we get the existing businesses who aren't the brand new ones to sort of spruce up and fix up their places to improve their facades and make the downtown a little fancier?
It's me, right, Nick?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes,
thank you. Yes, the Downtown Beautification Committee is the first and a very large step towards how we are changing and transfixing, hopefully, our downtown. Now, everyone needs to appreciate the fact that any elected official cannot tell a landowner what to do with his property and how much he should charge and so on and so forth. But we can make the town either more pedestrian accessible, more traffic accessible, and so on and so forth. We are, in fact, in the process, and the only thing that's holding it up is litigation with the property, the major property in town, and that is the post office, that strip mall, and the mall behind it. The goal there, obviously, as many of you who may know, is to revise the street, the perpendicular street near it, widen it, and to literally change the traffic flow downtown and to create more of a boulevard. I've been advised that that litigation is winding down. Given what I do for a living, I take that rather skeptically. But that's what I was told. But that will go a long way, because what we're going to attempt to do there is create greater pedestrian access and pedestrian crosswalks and so on and so forth. We have to be able to connect the area that's back behind the hardware store into the town. We're trying to incorporate that into the town. So we have those concerns. Are there vacant places? Yes. Now, there's also some discussions possibly of the theater being purchased and turned into a theater, all right, for live performances, et cetera, which I think would obviously have an immediate impact on restaurants in the area. Now, we all know one restaurant just closed, hopefully just temporarily, all right, so that they can handle that. But obviously, businesses, one feeds off the other. But we need to make it friendly. They need to know that we're going to assist them. They need to know that we're going to support them. And they need to know that we're there for them. Thank you.
Joe, you have 3 minutes.
Downtown development is actually doing very, very well. We have vacancies. In fact, the Liberty Mutual vacancy that you referred to, Barbara, has already been filled with what they call a wine and sip. It's a place where you bring your own wine and hors d'oeuvres, and they provide you with the paint, and you paint. And it's a nice recreation spot at the end of a tough day to do that. I met with the owner today at 1 o'clock, and she will be opening sometime in mid-June, and she has a sample thing for the Relay for Life at Myersville Inn sometime in May, and I'll put that on a website so people can see it. Part of downtown development is being available for businesses and real estate professionals when they're available. And the one thing, as I said before, if you remember nothing else tonight, please remember that this is the job I do. I am a available 24/7 mayor. I have no other responsibility, and I do it with a passion. I'll meet with any business professional, any real estate professional, to make sure that we do our due diligence and get people to look at our town. And again, I think the job of the mayor is to be to be the biggest cheerleader in town. New York Mart, I don't know why they pulled out. They put a lot of money into that building before they pulled out, so I suspect it was something financial, but I'm not sure, because, as Barbara alluded to, the business owners don't have to share with us why. But since the time I became mayor, there are a lot less vacancies in town, and if you look at the new buildings in town, where there was a Domino's Pizza, an abandoned complex, there's now going to be a Primrose School. On the corner of the the middle of town, there's going to be a Chase Manhattan Bank. We have 3 or 4 more restaurants opened up since I've took office. We have a new supermarket in Garden of Eden. So businesses have come to Berkeley Heights, due largely part about the business-friendly environment. We have a breakfast with it was breakfast with the mayor, now it's breakfast with the mayor and council. I don't mind sharing the podium, but it's a community place where people can network. Okay, so we've done a lot for business, and the reason why is because I am available to meet with businesses, real estate professionals, and try to sell our town to them. And that's what you want as far as business development. It's going to grow, it's going to get better, but you really want somebody on site to be able to do it. Thank you.
Thank you, Joe. Bob, you're allowed a 30-second rebuttal.
Yes, thank you very much. Joe has mentioned his availability at 24/7, and that is a given. I appreciate that and understand that. However, it's extremely important that the mayor and council share the same vision. And quite candidly, that's why we're both standing up here tonight, because that's not the case. So while the mayor is available, and I appreciate that, it is the issue here in this election is a shared vision and where we're going with that vision. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Bob. The next and the last topic for session 1 pertains to the township budget. And it will be asked by Bobby Pierre, and it will be first addressed to Joe Bruno.
So this year it was reported that the taxes will increase due to adding the bulk pickup back. There was extra saw for all the snowstorms we had, the pothole repairs. Now, how do you balance the residents' expectations and not wanting to pay extra taxes, but keeping everything that they want and feel they need within your financial guidelines?
That's the age-old juggling act. How do you do that? Well, you know, we instituted a while ago zero-based budgeting, and zero-based budgeting is a simple complex that we use in business. That's been used in business for years, where you actually start off with zero. When I first came to the council, somebody would say, I'm asking for no increase in last year's appropriation. I appropriated $10,000, but they only spent $5,000. They want $10,000 again. And I said, well, that's a 100% increase. They said, no, it's same as last year. I said, no, it's not. Okay, so we instituted zero-based budgeting, where you add your fixed costs and then you add from there. However, we knew this January we spent a lot of money, as Bobby was alluding to, in salt. That was already paid for, already in the book. So not to put in the budget would have been ridiculous. Because we washed out bulk pickup last year, which I cautioned last year, when you wash something out and you have a 2% cap, 2% of nothing is nothing. So we put that back. Well, the person who does bulk pickup for us, and we actually went to bid twice on it, charged us $52,000 more than last year, because they're figuring there's going to be a lot more bulk pickup since we didn't have it last year. You couple that with the amount of potholes we have, we had to dip into our reserve, which by law is allowed, but it's something that we all, as on the council, did not want to do. We would rather have a 2% increase, but if we're going to keep the services that the residents expect and the quality of life that the residents expect, we had to do it. Everything else in the budget is really almost a fixed cost. We don't have a lot of salary increase. We don't have a lot of new hires. And it is basically, the services we give that dictate the amount we spend. So this year, we had to dip into our reserve. And we all painstakingly approved that. I wanted to cut the budget again until I looked at it and found out there was really nothing to cut without affecting the services. So that's what we had to do this year. And sometimes, I don't mind delivering the bad news as long as I can explain it. And this one I have no trouble explaining. Thank you.
Thank you, Joe. Bob, you have 3 minutes to respond to the township budget question.
Thank you, Nick. The issue with the bulk pickup, and I'm on the opposite side of Joe's position on this right now. Joe has cautioned repeatedly that next year it may not be there, et cetera, et cetera. I see that as a bit of an alarmist view, because I think what occurred this year was aberrational, quite simply based upon the following facts. We did not have bulk pickup last year. As any businessman would, contractor came in and said, well, I'm really maybe picking up 2 years worth of stuff. So we're about paying 50% more. That won't be an issue next year. In addition, the reason we took the money and avoided bulk pickup 2 years ago was to do the reclamation work on our streams. They are now, some reclamation still needed, but basically it's a maintenance circumstance. So that money will go down. So I'm not as quick as Joe has been to say the sky is falling, because it's our obligation to find ways to pay for these things. And this is where working with local businesses, working with the county, working with the state, this is where we need to come up with answers. It's easy. You tell a citizen who pays taxes and gets a service, we're not going to give it to you anymore, or we're thinking we may not give it to you anymore. I think we really need to be disciplined. We need to see the facts as they come in with respect to next year and not make decisions now that something will or won't occur. Right? The budget is a circumstance, and believe me, we have been pared to the bone. That was essentially the basis for the entire secession discussion. What we need under these circumstances is to work together, the council and the mayor, and to work together with those those citizens, those towns nearby, to cut costs so that we could save services. We could sit here and say, well, we'll cut services. Well, let's start by finding other ways to fund for these. We cannot continue to do this on the back of taxpayers. We need to find alternatives. We need to find options. I think the best way to do that is to get out to the business world, to get out to the landlords, to get out to the volunteer organizations and work together and find ways to come up with the monies necessary, the revenues necessary to do this. Now, revenues, we as a council have looked at licensing, which is a source of revenue. We've determined that perhaps we're lower than other towns. Well, that's a legitimate direction to go, and I think the citizens would appreciate and respect that. There is the potential for Ronalds to generate some tax dollars, and people were getting excited when they saw the number 500,000, but if you do the percentage that we get on a tax dollar, it's about $75,000 to us. Hey, it's still $75,000. But the county, to show you that how sure they are of having that transaction go through, they have built into the budget the continuing payment for Ronalds. So that's at least another year of 15, 16, whatever that number is. So it's a difficult circumstance, but we need to partner and find our money elsewhere. Thank you.
Joe Bruno, you're allowed a 30-second rebuttal.
You know, 2 years ago when we had bulk pickup, I had said that I saw it as an item that may have been maybe reduced and cut. And I said to people then, you better get rid of it like you were moving. And then last year it was cut out with no warning because we took the money and did the streams. And the stream remediation was necessary. All I'm saying to people now is, you know, be preventive. You know, if it's there next year, then it's there next year, and that'd be great if we can afford it. But cut it like get rid of it like you're moving, because it may not be last year. As far as the budget goes, the council's chief responsibility is to do that budget. When I asked for a cut at one of the sessions, I was overwhelmingly denied to take a look at cutting. We did very little cutting, if any, in public. It was done someplace, but it wasn't done in public like it was years before. So when I looked at the budget, I saw it was
Joe,
right.
we're coming out to the end of the 30-second rebuttal.
Thank you.
Okay. Well, thank you. This ends session one, and I want to thank Joseph Bruno, Robert Woodruff, Bobby Pierre, and Barbara Reibold. Please stay around. We're going to take a 5-minute break, and then we're going to start session two. And session two is going to be moderated by the League of Women Voters, and registered Republicans and registered independents will be allowed to come up to the microphone and ask the candidates questions directly. Thank you very much, and we'll see you back in 5 minutes.
Okay, we're going to begin the second part of our program. Again, this forum is devoted to hearing the views only of the candidates running for mayor of Berkeley Heights, and to ensure that the meeting is as informative as possible, we ask that everybody abide by the following. Audience questions and candidates' remarks must follow the league policy of being concerned with issues, not personalities. The moderator will not allow any abusive, personalized, or irrelevant questions or remarks. Audience members should step up to the mic, and there are two of them. When the moderator recognizes you, state your name, street address, and whether you're a registered Republican or independent. Then briefly ask your question, making sure it's in the form of a question with no lengthy preamble. The question should address only those issues that come before the mayor. All candidates may answer a question, even if the question is posed to one of the candidates. The candidates will have 90 seconds to respond. This way, we hope to go a little quicker and get as many questions answered as possible, and there will be a 30-second rebuttal if required. We ask that you hold your applause till the end of the program. Our moderator for this evening is Marilee Schmidt from the Somerset Hills League, and I turn the program over to her at this time.
Good evening, and thank you for being here. If you would please come to either that microphone or that microphone, and as was just mentioned, state your name, your address, and whether you're a registered Republican or if you're an independent, we can get started with questions.
Good evening. My name is Alfred Dombra. I live on 30 Archer Lane, and I'm a registered Republican. My question relates to municipal development planning, and I would appreciate comments from the candidates with regard to what, if any, opportunity should citizens have for input in this process during the conceptual planning phase. My impression is there hasn't been much up to now.
Thank you.
And if it is none, then so state so. Thank you.
Thank you. In the tradition of going alternating in these questions and answers, Mr. Woodruff, you begin.
All right. Thank you. Sir, at this stage, and as I explained earlier, there's various components to this, and we are doing due diligence with respect to costs which run in a variety of different directions, appraisals and so on and so forth. We anticipate within the next 2 months, hopefully if everything's together, is to present this to the public. And hopefully we can dot our I's and cross our T's at that meeting. So when a gentleman like yourself or anyone else is certainly welcome to come forward and ask questions. And if you have ideas or thoughts about conceptual issues, they're going to be welcomed. Now, obviously, you may just disagree with what we're doing, and that's fine too. You're certainly entitled to do that. But from a conceptual standpoint, if I understand what you're referring to, I believe everyone will have an opportunity to come forward and give their opinions as to what they think might be the best thing to do. All right, now certain people may say, I don't want to move. I want to stay where it is. Well, that's understandable. But we've made a commitment as a council and a governing body to look at the options, because as we have both set up here, this is a one-time opportunity, and we have to make sure we look at everything as closely as we can to set ourselves up to handle this. But if you appear at those meetings, believe me, you will be heard. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Bruno?
Well, I agree with Bob. There are a lot of moving parts in these negotiations, and we're just about at the point where we can present to the public and get their input. It would be, and we've talked about it at different meetings, and we've talked about it at different functions. I know I've addressed it with the seniors on a number of occasions, and my colleague, Mr. Hall, has addressed it at the seniors. But we're not at the point to have the public input yet, but before any decision is made, we need to have the public input. Quite frankly, we need to sell this to the public and get you as enthused about it as we are. We're residents just like everybody else. We'll pay the taxes or whatever the implication is just like everybody else. But so we do need your input. I think it potentially could be the best thing that happens to the town, as Bob alluded to it during his opening, ever in this lifetime. So we do need to get input. It won't work. It won't happen. without the public's agreeing to it. So we're not, there is no behind the scenes issues here except our negotiations, because if we let the cat out of the bag, all the people we're negotiating with will then know our strategy, and then we don't get the best value for what we're looking for. But rest assured, we will definitely get public input, because we need to have it before we go much further. And right now, we're just trying to do our due diligence and get the get questions answered so we can present to the public in a logical manner.
Thank you. You have another question? I'm sure you all have thoughts that you'd like to put into a question for the candidates.
Sure.
Sure.
The microphone's yours, sir, until somebody else comes.
We mentioned a couple of times stream clearing. I live along the Greenbrook, and that is, as you know, a boundary between Berkeley Heights, and it's also a county boundary between Union and Somerset. And my question is, what should you be doing to get Watchung and Somerset counties to share in that particular activity? Because right at my house, I mean, I can stand in the kitchen and look at, the stream about 100 feet away, and there's trees that come down from Watchung onto Berkeley Heights, and nobody's doing anything about that. So what do you do in that regard to get them to belly up to the
To get the other counties and towns. Thank you.
That's a very good question.
You are the next.
We have worked on this now for a few years on getting cooperation. We took the lead in Berkeley Heights by cleaning our own brooks and our streams. We actually, though, did work with the county, and somebody was asking the question before about county money. I believe we just got a $200,000 grant from the county to attack the bigger picture. And we will continue to do our part in cleaning the streams around us, and we're encouraging by having a consortium of towns around us to do their part. Because if we clean our streams, what's going to happen is our streams are going to flow to a point, and it's to the towns that don't clean, and that's what it's going to back up. So it has to be everybody along the Passaic River, and it's been neglected for so long. These streams, last time these streams were cleaned was, I think, close to 20 years ago, which is just a travesty. It should never have happened. During this administration, we are now attacking that with the council and with the DPW and working with the county. It's now being addressed, and I personally have gone down to Trenton and talked with DPW officials about this, and I'll continue to do so until it's resolved.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you.
Mr. Woodruff.
Sir, the number Joe mentioned, it was 200, it's actually 300,000. There's a total of $1.2 million, which was allocated to the various towns in the area. Now, we really we need Summit to do their job, because if Summit doesn't do their job, it backs up. All right. Now, that same county official and individual I was speaking with, I inquired as to whether or not we could count on county personnel and county material to assist us, and I was assured, barring something unforeseen, that yes, we would get that assistance. One of the things we need to do, and I'm assuming you said it was 100 feet away, it was probably 5 feet away 10 hours ago, all right? No? Okay. Well, I've received some calls and saw some pictures today of the river sitting in people's backyards. All right, we need to determine, $300,000 is not a lot of money, all right, in the grand scheme of things. We need to determine where the most severe areas are, and then determine whether or not we can impact those areas. And as has been said, and this has been the subject of many discussions in government council sessions, we need the help of the other towns. If they're not going to do it, then what we do is remedial to a point. So fortunately, many of the other towns are involved, and again, that's something that it's on our radar, and we're trying very, very hard to address it. Thank you.
Thank you. Someone up in the distance. Ah, yes.
Good evening.
You have a question? Good evening.
Camille Aragona, 56 Chaucer Drive. I'm a registered Republican. In continuing on with that conversation with the Brooks, in the past, again, like you said, 20 years ago was the last time these have been cleaned, including the catch basins. The only thing I've seen the DEP do was take out twigs. No one has gone in and just take out the sludge. I know the county in the past has come and helped. What are we going to do?
Okay, Mr. Woodruff, please.
Okay. Camille, our DPW, and particularly Jorge, who was hired within the last year, has probably walked every stream in town in hip boots. All right, he's committed, to say the least. We have removed more than just sticks. We've made every effort to remove more than just sticks. We recognize, and Joe suggested 20 years, and you know, it may even be longer, because I've heard from Mr. DeLeo, who's on the council, and his estimate is it's perhaps 30 to 35 years. All right? That doesn't make any excuse. I mean, that was then, this is now. So we see that as a problem. We are addressing it as succinctly as we can. I do believe we have the right individual in our department right now that sees the problem and hopes to get to it. The sludge issue, now you're talking a different, you know, that's a different, a horse of a different color, so to speak. The costs associated with that, I'm not sure of, so I don't want to make any comments about costs that we can't support at this time. But I can say that, you know, the debris that is in these streams, we are endeavoring to remove it. And please let us know when something is there. And we will make every effort to get somebody there. It is a problem in this town. It continues to be a problem in this town. It doesn't affect everybody, but as long as it affects somebody, then it does affect all of us. And that's how we see it. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Bruno.
Yes, the catch basins in our town are definitely a problem, and one that's also been neglected for quite some time. Working with the sewer department, we will be purchasing a jet nozzle, and in fact I was privy to see it work a week ago on a clog, and it's a nozzle about that big, and it has these powerful jets that if you were standing next to it would take your leg off. That's how powerful it is, because they cautioned, and they will snake it in there, and they will clean the sewer lines with it. It's part of our capital plan, and they will also clean the catch basins and the lines leading to the Passaic River with this jet nozzle. So I anticipate again this summer we're going to do a lot of work on our sewers and our catch basins. The catch basins themselves, if you look in town, they need to be repaired. There's some area with cones in them, and the holes are big where somebody could actually twist an ankle in them, and they too are being addressed. Our DPW is only 12 people, 12 to 15 people in DPW, and between picking up the chipping program and repairing the potholes and doing this, they're worked pretty hard and pretty long, but they are committed to making sure this happens also, and it will happen with this summer, and we've appropriated money in the capital plan for the necessary equipment to do it, so we are going to address it.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Sir?
I believe you both indicated that you want to see good development in the commercial development in the downtown area. Could you say a few words about how you would define good? What kind of commercial development is good?
Okay, thank you. Mr. Bruno.
Well, good development, probably a better word is smart development. We only have so many businesses in the downtown area. I mean, and it's getting full, thank God. What we need to do now is put some residential housing down there. We have a train station, and with a train station, you have Transit Village grants that are available. So we can develop, if we do this swap and develop our property, that's one thing to look at is what will we put there, and and residential would be a good thing to put there, but, two-income family residential, people who would be the feeder group for the housing market in town and have a place to walk to and sustain the businesses. The other thing we desperately need in town is senior citizen housing. We have Park Edge, which is great, but Park Edge is full. And I go to the seniors very regularly because, unfortunately, I'm now a member. But one of the things they talk to me every week about is, is there any senior citizen housing development that's going to happen? So I've heard from them that they want it, and it's something we need to talk to our landowners on. And we've already started discussions with some of them about the potential of doing that. So smart development is sustained development, and somebody asked before, how do we traffic the businesses? We traffic them by limiting the supply of the businesses there, which is only so many, and creating demand by putting more people in and around them.
Thank you. Mr. Woodruff.
Thank you. I suppose a quick definition of good development was any business that's successful, and that's what we're seeking. Now, with respect to varieties of businesses, which is oftentimes people say, how come we don't have more of this or more of that? That's a landlord's decision. All right, just as it's a landlord's decision how long he or she wishes their property to remain vacant based upon what they want for the cost of the space. We can encourage certain businesses which do not have 3 and 4 other of their like in town. But again, that's up to the landlord to make that choice. But with respect to the transit village mentioned by Joe, there are grants available there, but that defines out specifically as to what we're going to do with that developed property. Because developers can make more money selling residential and or leasing residential than they can leasing commercial. So we're going to be at a point in time at some point as we examine the entire redevelopment situation to decide how much money is necessary for us to take out of that to allow this entire episode to be successful. So while Transit Village, and Summit is an example of that, if you go to Summit, I think Maplewood may be an example, Scotch Plains may be an example, that might be an option for us, but we're really tied into how much of revenues we can generate from a developer, and developers are not as easily inclined to deal with commercial property as they are with residential because of the return. Thank you.
Thank you. We have another.
Hi, Alan Henderson, 35 Orchard Lane, registered Republican. I think in the beginning you both said you had differences of opinion, and that's part of the reason both of you are up here tonight. Can you both discuss 2 major topics that you disagree on and why you disagree on it?
Hey, Mr. Woodruff, you start.
Certainly. It really, when I go back to my opening comments about the various entities in town, including the Republican Committee, and perhaps most important, at least to me anyway, the council came to me and asked me to run for mayor, and they gave me the reasons for doing so. What I think occurs with the difference between Joe and I is a very simple one, and that is I see the council and the mayor as operating as one, as a team. It's not about awards. It's not about, when we look at the town getting a recognition for number 6 in the state, which is all very nice and we like that, but this council will tell you that's not the result of any politician or elected official. That's the result of the citizens in the town. That's the result of the volunteers who step up and do the community work, that step up through their churches, that step up and sit on planning boards and so on and so forth. And these are the kind of partnerships that we need. The council understands that that type of collaboration and working together is our best chance at moving forward. All right, and that in essence, and I think that covers, in my mind, it covers the entire issue, the entire panoply as to why the 2 of us are standing up here tonight in the same party having a debate. It has to do with leadership. It has to do with how one approaches it. That's how I see it. Thank you.
Okay, Mr. Bruno.
Yeah, I disagree to a certain point with my colleague. I think that I agree with him that the sixth best place to live in America is a township award, and I believe when we were awarded, if you look at the comments I made at the time, that's exactly what I said. This is not any one person or one individual's or group's award. This was an entire township award, although it did happen in this administration. So, we try to hire the best people we can to help run our town, and I think we've been very successful in doing that with our president administrator, our CFO, and the rest of the people, our police chief, the rest of the people that are working there. And with the exception of the police chief, all of them have been hired by me with the advice and consent of the council. The council and I working together, I only know of one issue where we disagreed, and that was about the termination of our administrator. My First Amendment rights are still preserved. I am allowed to disagree and voice my opinion, and I didn't agree with that because it wasted $40,000 of taxpayers' money to terminate somebody without cause. And the day after she left, we had no administrator for 3 months, which meant that I and the team that is assembled at Town Hall had to run the township for 3 months in order to save the money. That was the chief thing we disagreed on. I don't get to vote. I have never voiced my disapproval or disagreement on anything the council has done except for that one issue. I am there to challenge. That's the checks and balances.
Closing statements. But before we go to closing statements, I think both of these candidates deserve a very well-deserved round of applause.
Thank you. Thank you.
I was astounded in the work we do with the women voters in moderating candidate forums, that these people are giving their time to make sure that your town is well run. And remember to thank them. So, without further ado, the final statements are, to begin with, Mr. Bruno.
Thank you. I want to thank you all for those of you in attendance, the League of Women Voters and the staff here at GL and those watching on TV. For the past 3.5 years, I've had the privilege of serving as your mayor. We have had much success, and our township as recognized by CNN Money Magazine, ranking us as the sixth best place to live in America. We have made some wonderful improvements into our town, but there is more to do, including continued downtown development, working to provide affordable senior housing so our seniors can stay in the town they love, and the possible municipal property redevelopment and land swap with Little Flower Parish. I would like 4 more years to continue in my primary responsibility as your mayor. In my professional life, I had a 38-year career with JCPenney, where I was a budget manager, and for my last 20 years, I managed the largest store in New Jersey with over $50 million in sales and had the highest bottom line profit, or for those professionals, EBIT. For those of you who are interested in viewing my profile on LinkedIn, I am on LinkedIn, and the address is there. I use my business skills and talents in various positions I've held in county. In 1992, I moved here with my family to establish our home here in Berkeley Heights. I immediately got involved in Cub Scouts, Boy Scouts with my sons, and served as a leader and fundraising chairman. In 1997, I ran for and was elected to the school board and served for 9 years in various positions, including finance committee chair for 7 years, liaison to the township committee for 8 years, board vice president for 2. In 2005, I was first elected to the township committee, and then in 2006 to the town council, where I served as the finance committee chairman for 3 years, council vice president and council president for 2 years before being elected mayor. I share this with you to demonstrate my 17-year commitment and passion in serving you, the resident of Berkeley Heights, as your mayor. Since there is no party nominations for the position of mayor, on June 3rd, this is the choice you'll have for the mayor for the next 4 years. If you remember nothing else, please remember that the difference between my colleague and I is time, 24/7 availability, a demonstrated commitment to you, the residents, and a passion for the job. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Mr. Woodruff.
Thank you. want to thank you citizens who have come out this evening and those who are responsible for organizing tonight's activities. Together, building for the future of Berkeley Heights. Governance requires a team approach, not only between the mayor and council, which demands an ability for the 7 of us to work together, but a collaborative approach with citizens, business leaders, landlords, neighboring towns, county and state officials. Fiscal constraints can be addressed by telling your citizens you won't or you can't, or they can be addressed by seeking alternative approaches, which requires greater creativity, diligence, and oversight. It is the mayor's job to oversee team efforts at securing alternative resources and to establish a relationship with those individuals and groups who can assist the township and therefore the taxpayer in helping our community move forward. It is the mayor's job to be an aggressive advocate for the township, utilizing the many talents of our council. The mayor must realize that recognizing and promoting their talents benefits the township and secures the council's appreciation that they are a part of the team. In the same way, the mayor must realize that a partnership with citizen volunteers and businesses will yield the same result. And mayor must appreciate these abilities and highlight same. This makes these individuals appreciative of, again, being part of the team. The common theme is working together, and it's the mayor's responsibility to ensure same. Each of us elected officials, citizens, business leaders, landlords, all have a vested interest in this town, and each must be recognized as a vital member of this town. I believe I am the right person to lead us through these times, but make no mistake, both myself and our current council recognize that the heart and soul of any community are its citizens. Together, we will build the future of Berkeley Heights. I am honored to be the mayoral nominee of the Republican Party. I am honored to be running with Council President Gene Kingsley and Mark Fasher. They are talented, dedicated public servants. Together, we ask for your support. Thank you.
Thank you. And thank you all for being here this evening. And I believe we have time for you all to be able to talk to the candidates personally. Thank you.